Lucy Letby, The Denial Maintained. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. For those of you who may not be familiar with Lucy Letby, I would encourage you to familiarise yourself with the circumstances of her notoriety. She's a British former neonatal nurse who murdered 7 infants and attempted the murder of 6 others between June 2015 and June 2016. She attracted suspicion following a high number of infant deaths which occurred at the neonatal unit of the Countess of Chester Hospital shortly after she began working with children in the hospital's intensive care unit. She was charged in November 2020 with 8 counts of murder and 10 counts of attempted murder. She pleaded not guilty and told a subsequent Nursing and Midwifery Council disciplinary panel that she was innocent. Her methods, revealed during the course of her 10-month trial from October 2022 and August 2023, included injecting the infants with air or insulin, overfeeding them, and physically abusing them with medical tools. She also removed over 250 confidential nursing handover sheets from her workplace and falsified patient records to avert suspicion. On the 21st of August 2023, Letby was sentenced to life imprisonment with a whole life order. An application to appeal her conviction was renewed in February 2024 and heard by the Court of Appeal in April 2024. The application was refused. Letby is the most prolific serial child killer in modern British history. The Cheshire Constabulary suspects that she may have claimed more victims, including at Liverpool Women's Hospital, where 2 infants died during her training. Thus, that's the background to this child killer, who was convicted and will spend the rest of her life in prison. She is only 34 years old, and therefore a wasted life as a consequence of her behaviour. I undertook a detailed and forensic examination of Lucy Letby in August of last year, around the time of her conviction. If you haven't watched that, I would very much encourage you to do so, as it is a fantastic breakdown of her behaviours, which will help you understand more about why somebody would kill children and the motivating factors behind that. If you haven't watched it and you don't want to learn what she is, I'd encourage you to halt listening to the video now and return to it later. For those of you that are familiar with the analysis, you will know that following my detailed examination of the evidence, I found that she is a narcissist. And in circumstances, that enables us then to look at her behaviour following this analysis, to look at that behaviour through the prism of her narcissism. Now, it is the case that Letby has been placed on trial again, and she told a jury that she never intended or tried to harm any baby in her care, notwithstanding the fact that she has been convicted after a 10-month trial, that the evidence was accepted by a jury. After carefully listening to that evidence, she still maintains a denial that she never intended or tried to harm any baby in her care. Her narcissism will not allow her to admit what she has ever done. Even when faced with the prospect of spending the rest of her life in prison, even when with the prospect of perhaps providing some closure to the families of those infants that have been murdered, her narcissism is resolute in its defense of her by telling her, you have done nothing wrong. I know there will be some who will say, well, surely that's as a consequence of the fact that she's innocent, that she maintains her innocence. And they are entitled to those views, but they're not particularly well-founded ones, since the evidence, which was considered over a detailed period of time, demonstrated that she had killed these children. And it wasn't once, but it was several times that she engaged in such behaviour. This overwhelming evidence and the conviction is still insufficient to dislodge the narcissist's defense of "I didn't do it." She's on trial again, accused of attempting to murder a baby girl at the Countess of Chester Hospital on the 17th of February 2016. Jurors at Manchester Crown Court have been told Letby was convicted last August by another jury of the murders of 7 babies and the attempted murders of 6 others, but a verdict could not be reached on the allegation involving an infant referred to as Baby K. Giving evidence for the first time during the latest trial, she denial, the first line of the twin lines of narcissistic defense, attempting to harm the baby in any way. Once again, her narcissism is resolute, is defiant in telling her you did nothing wrong. The suggestion that she killed those children is a threat to control, and her narcissism steps in to tell her you didn't do it. Irrespective of the strength of the evidence, irrespective of the overwhelming nature of that evidence, the narcissism simply ignores it and reminds her that she is innocent, and thus she once again issues the denial. In the course of the ongoing trial, the prosecution claimed consultant paediatrician Dr. Ravi Jayaram walked into the neonatal unit's intensive care nursery room less than 2 hours after baby K's birth and saw Letby standing next to the incubator doing nothing as the baby's blood oxygen levels dipped, but no monitor alarms sounded. This evidence, if correct, demonstrates the absence of emotional empathy, the absence of accountability, the fact that she is clearly seeking to provoke a reaction so that she receives fuel, that she was envious of the attention that the babies that were receiving in the intensive care nursery room, so that she had to do something in order to punish those innocent children for the purposes of enabling her to gain a sensation of asserting control over them, and in some instances, of course, creating an emergency to which she would then attend. As I've explained in separate work, it is common amongst certain subschools of narcissists for them to be both fire starter and fire person, so that they start the fire and then turn up to put it out. In the course of the trial, Ben Myers, her KC, defending Letby, asked her, "Did you attempt to murder baby K?" She replied, "No." Denial. Nullification of threat to control. Mr. Myers said, "Did you intend to do her any harm at all?" "No," repeated Letby. Mr. Myers said, "Do you accept you have ever intended to hurt any baby in your care?" Letby replied, "No, I don't." Letby told the court she did not recall the particular event said to have taken place in Nursery 1, the intensive care room. Mr. Myers said, "You know the allegation based on the evidence of Dr. Jayaram is that he says he came in and baby K was desaturating, and you were standing there doing nothing and no alarm was sounding. You understand that?" "Yes," said Letby. Mr. Myers said, "Do you recall any incident where Dr. Jayaram comes in when something like that was happening?" Letby replied, "No." Mr. Myers said, "Do you recall saying that baby K had just started to desaturate?" "No," said Letby. Mr. Myers said, "Do you remember there being at all at that time in those circumstances?" "No." Mr. Myers said, "Was there any incident that morning when you were trying to hurt baby K?" "No." Mr. Myers said, "When you say you don't recall an incident like the one Dr. Jayaram describes, by doing so, do you accept that it happened?" "No." Mr. Myers said, "Why were you searching for baby K's surname on your Facebook a little over 2 years after this event is said to have taken place?" Letby replied, "I'm not sure. I don't have a recollection of doing that at the time. or now why I did. Mr. Myers said, "Is it linked to any attempt to do her harm?" "No," said Letby. Repeatedly, she issues these denials, driven by her narcissism, causing her to say that she didn't do anything wrong because she truly believes that is the case, because her narcissism tells her that that is the case. That is her outlook. You might think, given the fact that she has been convicted of murdering other children, that it would follow that it was likely that she attempted to murder or did murder baby K. But remember, her narcissism, notwithstanding the conviction, tells her that she is innocent, because that is its job. The conviction threatens her need for control, and her narcissism must reject it. Baby K was later transferred to a specialist hospital because of her extreme prematurity. She died 3 days later, although the prosecution does not allege Letby caused her death. Letby denies a single count of attempted murder. Opening the case, prosecutor Nick Johnson KC alleged Letby was also responsible for 2 further desaturations of baby K during the same shift, in a bid to give her colleagues the impression the infant was habitually displacing her own breathing tube, i.e., blame shifting. It was the baby that was causing the problem, not Letby. Mr. Myers said, "The allegation is that sometime after 6:10 a.m. baby K has a desaturation, which you caused by interfering with the tube. Did you do that?" "No, I didn't." "Did you try to interfere with her tube to make it look like she was unwell and desaturating for no apparent reasons?" "Absolutely not." "To try to cover your tracks?" "No." Again, denial after denial, all generated by her narcissism. Mr. Myers then went through Letby's answers to detectives when she was questioned about baby K following her arrest. The barrister asked Letby about a detective asking her, "Explain what you were doing when Dr. Jayaram walked into the nursery." Mr. Myers continued, "The question is put to you like a fact. Had you actually agreed you were there in the first place?" "No," Letby replied. Mr. Myers continued quoting a detective's question to Letby, telling the court they said, "Tell me what would have happened if Dr. Jayaram had not walked in when you were stood by the incubator." He asked Letby, "Have you ever agreed there was ever a time when he walked in to see you stood by the incubator?" "No," replied Letby. "Do you remember anything like that happening?" "No." Mr. Myers said the police officer then asked Letby why she did not call for help when the baby's oxygen levels had begun to fall. He continued, "Were you agreeing you were there in the first place to call for help?" "No," Letby said. Mr. Myers asked why Letby had suggested baby K may have self-corrected with time after her oxygen levels had dropped. Letby said, "I was trying to be helpful at the time. They were asking me questions which I believed were factually correct." Note again, this is commensurate with the mid-range status of Lucy Letby, believing herself to try to be helpful towards others. Mr. Myers said, "Do you accept you were in the nursery, not helping baby K?" "No, I don't." Repeatedly, she maintains that she wasn't there, that she didn't do anything wrong, and it is the case that her narcissism propels her to do this as part of the repeated and extensive denials. The suggestion that she's done something wrong is a threat to control. And irrespective of the evidence and convictions that have gone before, her narcissism keeps telling her she is innocent, that she has done nothing wrong, and thus she maintains these denials. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.